I've been living in Croatia for almost 4 years now, and of course, all this time I've been learning Croatian. But something interesting happened recently that surprised me. I was chatting with a local guy, just throwing around a few casual phrases, and until I told him I was originally from Ukraine, he told me he had no idea. He literally thought I was from Osijek, and honestly, I always feel like my accent is so obvious people would immediately understand I'm a foreigner, but not this time. Or maybe he was just too nice to me, but still, that moment made me realize that I learned how to use certain Croatian phrases and the intonation so that I sound more native. I mean, if I speak for a bit longer, people would understand I'm not Croatian, but still, I want to share those phrases with you. They're super short, super simple, but they make a huge difference in how locals hear you. Those phrases really help, and one more reason I like them is that because they also carry Croatian mentality within, so that you can understand these people a little bit better. So let's start with our first phrase, ma nema šanse. This phrase means no way, there is no chance, but in Croatian it means so much more than that. It's kind of a Croatian version of an eye roll, a reality check, and don't even think about it phrase. What's interesting is this little ma at the beginning. You'll notice that Croatian put this ma everywhere. Ma daj, ma joj, ma može, and so on. It's this tiny sound that softens everything and makes even a strong no sound kind of friendly. And I find that this phrase says a lot about Croatian mentality because you hear this phrase quite a lot. And you know, where I come from, we have a saying in Russian, если сильно захотеть, можно в космос улететь, which means something like if you really want to, you can fly to space, or if you really want something, you can reach the stars. Maybe there is a Croatian version of this phrase or something you say in Croatian. If there is, let me know in the comments, but I've never heard it. However, I've heard nema šanse a lot. So I kind of come from a mentality where people think if you really want something and you push hard enough, you'll do it, you'll achieve your goal and so on. Here it's kind of different. I feel like if something sounds too complicated, too time-consuming, or if you have to put a bit more effort into something than needed, then people often go straight to ma nema šanse. It kind of feels like a default setting, like let's not make life harder than it needs to be. This phrase can be funny, dramatic, sarcastic, or cute, depending on your tone, and when you use ma nema šanse, you instantly sound more native. But it's not enough to just know those words and say them. You have to use the correct intonation. This is very important in Croatian because in Russian, I would say we're more monotonous. We're not that expressive, let's say. We would say like ma nema šanse, and that's it. In English, maybe you're more expressive, but also too fast. And in Croatian, they like to stretch out their words and use this intonation to kind of underline something. So you don't say just ma nema šanse, you say ma nema šanse, something like that. And we're moving to our next word, Kužiš. Yes, our next word is Kužiš. If you spend at least one day around Croatians, you'll hear this word at least 30 times, I don't know. This basically means, do you get it? Or you know what I mean? But the magic is in how Croatians use it. It's not just checking if you understand, it's checking if you can feel it, if you're on the same wavelength, if your brains are like sinking. And there is something very Croatian about that. They allow conversations to feel warm, easy, natural, like you're sitting with coffee and you're talking and everything just flows. It usually will show up at the end of the sentence, like ma ovo nije fair, kužiš. Ma nije da sam zaboravila, stvarno sam imala kaos, kužiš. When you use kužiš, you instantly sound more native because it's not just a word, it's like a tiny bridge between two people, like a small, hey, are on the same page, kužiš. Now let's move to our next word, ajde. This tiny word means a little bit of everything in Croatian conversation, and the meaning can change a lot depending on your tone and the context. In its simplest, ajde means come on, but in Croatian it's so much deeper. It can mean encouragement, annoyance, disbelief, belief, motivation, affection, you name it. It's like a whole spectrum of emotions packed into 4 letters. You'll hear it everywhere: cafes, supermarkets, restaurants, friends, families, couples, because Ajde is how Croatians move the world forward. There are some examples, like if you want to encourage someone, you can say Ajde, možeš ti to. If you want to show impatience, you can say Ajde, požuri malo. If you want to show like a friendly invitation, Ajde, idemo na kavu. You can express shock or disbelief. Ajde, ne vjerujem. Or you can just end the conversation. Ajde, vidimo se. By the way, saying goodbye in Croatian is a whole different story. At first I was surprised because they just don't seem to leave, but now I got used to it. They have different words to say goodbye, like ajde, vidimo se, čujemo se, doviđenja, bog, ciao, and so on. And they just have to, like, I don't know, say all of them at once before they leave, like, hey, bog, čujemo se, vidimo se, bog, sretno, ajde, ciao, and so on. And yeah, it was funny at first, but I got used to it and I find it kind of cute now. Until they said like 10 different words, the goodbye isn't really over. Now, our next word is Može, or we can add this ma again at the beginning and say ma može. This literally means like, yeah, it's fine, or sure, why not? But Croatians don't just use it to show approval. They kind of show it to show openness, ease, no stress. And again, the magic is in this little ma at the beginning. You can remove it and just say može, and that would be okay too. But this little ma kind of softens everything and makes you sound more fluent, because that's how Croatians often use it. So depending on the tone, it can mean genuine approval, like hoćeš kavu? Ma može. Acceptance, like idemo pješače? Ma može. Can be neutral, like okay, fine, like možemo tamo sjesti? Ma može. Like a soft permission, mogu li te sutra poslati račun? Ma može. Maybe kind of hidden, I don't care much, I won't argue, like ajmo ipak u drugi restoran? Ma može. Where I most often hear you is at the cafe. When I order something, a coffee, a drink or something, I say može kavu s mlijekom, and the waiter would say može. This phrase has its vibe, like easygoing, non-dramatic, letting things be, and this also says lots about Croatians, I believe, because this is kind of their attitude towards life. Calm, flexible, friendly. That's nice. Our next phrase is sve pet, or again, ma sve pet. Again, we're putting this little ma at the beginning to soften our phrase. And sve pet literally means everything is 5. And although it may sound funny if you translate it, like everything is 5, 5 in Croatian is like a school grade, which would mean like, all good, no problem, we're cool, everything is fine, don't overthink it, ma sve pet. This also says a lot about Croatian mentality, because you'll hear this phrase a lot in everyday life, and I feel like Croatians deeply dislike conflict and unnecessary drama. They would rather smooth things out and keep the peace and keep the vibe calm. Ma sve pet is like a peace offering, like a reset button in everyday life. So when someone apologizes, like oprosti što kasnim, you can say ma sve pet. Or when someone makes a small mistake, krivo sam ti poslala račun, ma sve pet, pošalji opet. When you want to show you're not upset, nadam se da nisi ljuta, ma sve pet. Or when you just want to sound relaxed and kind, like hvala što si čekala, ma sve pet, nema župe. And so on. And I feel like this phrase says something beautiful about Croatians. They have this soft generosity in communication. They don't like to make people feel guilty. They don't like heaviness, and they always try to keep the atmosphere pleasant. I would say this is different from the mentality where I come from, because there you would meet this, I know, heavy atmosphere quite often. And here it's different. People just seem way friendlier. Next phrase, ček malo, or Čekaj. Ček is kind of short from čekaj, wait, and yeah, it means wait a second or hold on a sec. Croatians love using this phrase to slow the moment down, check the situation, maybe react with disbelief. This is quite expressive. You can use it, you can say it with surprise, annoyance, curiosity, even excitement. And it also shows something about Croatian mentality, where people like to pause and consider things before they react. So you can use it when you're shocked or surprised, like ma čuješ što se dogodilo? Ček malo, stvarno? When you are skeptical, rekao je da će doći u 5. Ček malo, u 5? Ma daj. By the way, ma daj is another phrase that you'll hear quite often. It also means kind of, come on, no way, something like that. You can also use this phrase, ček malo, when you use a tiny pause to check something actually and to ask a person to wait for a second, like normally. So it's short, casual, and super versatile, and when you use it, you also sound more fluent, more Croatian. Next phrase is to je to, or a to ti je to, and so on. This is literally like, that's it for you, or that's how it goes, that's all there is to it, and so on. You'll hear this phrase quite a lot again. For example, I hear it like every day in the supermarket, or maybe I say it every day in the supermarket when the cashier asks me, to je sve, or još nešto, and I say, to je to, that's all, hvala. Or when I'm at the cafe and I would like to tip the waiter, I pay for my coffee and I don't want the change, I just say, to je to, hvala, and they will be like, hvala, and that's it. So this is how you use it. Pretty easy actually, so let's move to our next phrase. Isuse, Može. Literally means Jesus, God, but it's not necessarily religious. It's a super common exclamation for surprise, shock, frustration, disbelief. You can think of it as kind of a Croatian version of oh my God. The first time I ever heard Isuse Može was from a little girl. It was early autumn, and this is the season when there is a lot of stink bugs here in Osijek, maybe in the whole Croatia. There are really a lot of them. They fly everywhere, and I was walking down the riverside and there was mother with her daughter. They were also walking, and the girl looked at a lamppost and it was completely covered with these stink bugs, and she was like, Isuse Bože, koliko tu smrdljavica. And I don't know, it sounded so funny, and I kind of remembered instantly when you use Isuse Bože. And yeah, Croatians actually call it smrdljavi Martin for some reason. I don't know, it sounds really, really funny. And now every time I hear Isuse Bože, I just remember that girl, and it's kind of my shortcut for this phrase, my little association with stink bugs or smrdljavi Martin. So yeah, you can hear it in everyday situations whenever people will usually use oh my God. Yeah, you can say it when you're surprised, like Isuse Bože, vidjela si kakva je gužva u gradu, or when you're frustrated, Isuse Bože, opet sam zaboravila ključeve, and so on. You'll hear it from kids, adults, grandmas, and everyone. It kind of sounds dramatic to me and funny, but yeah, I sometimes hear people using oh my God in Croatian. They are Croatian, they speak Croatian, but they use oh my God, and that kind of sounds funny and unnatural to me by this time. I like Isuse Bože more. Okay, our next phrase is ajmo na kavu, or to make it more complete, ajmo na kavu pa ćemo vidjet. This literally means let's go for coffee and we will see, but in Croatian it's more than just coffee. It's a social philosophy. Like Croatians take coffee very seriously, and it's not just a drink, it's a ritual, a way to slow down and make decisions together. And this phrase also reflects Croatian mentality a lot, like let's not rush, let's take a break and let things unfold naturally. So you will hear it when making plans like hoćeš li doći na koncert, ajmo na kavu pa ćemo vidjet. Or like an invitation, što radiš poslijepodne, ajmo na kavu pa ćemo vidjet. This phrase often used instead of a strict yes or no. You're showing politeness, kind of a social intelligence. Yeah, you invite the person for coffee, for a drink, where you can calmly think, figure it out, brainstorm some ideas and so on. And yeah, this is really, really a huge part of Croatian culture, going out for coffee, taking such a break to think, to process something, to decide. And now let's move to the next phrase that you can hear a lot, especially if you complain about something. Znaš kako je? Tako ti je to kod nas. This literally means, you know how it is, this is how it goes here. Croatians often use this phrase when talking about life, bureaucracy, traffic, and little quirks of everyday life. And this phrase also perfectly reflects Croatian mentality and attitude towards life. They accept life as it is, maybe a little bit ironic, but not too bitter. This is how things are. Laugh at it, accept it, and move on. The next phrase is Briga me. Briga me literally means I care in the literal sense, but in everyday Croatian it usually means I don't care. So it's a way of saying that you are not worried or bothered by something, and the version Briga te means like what do you care, or it's not your problem. This is the perfect example of Croatian straightforwardness. So you're honest with your feelings. You say, I don't care about it, like briga me, or like you shouldn't care, briga te, whatever they say, briga te, and so on. This is actually what I see a lot when someone leaves a hateful comment under someone's post and another person wants to kind of protect that person, and they're like, briga te što on misli, and so on. And yeah, you can hear it a lot, like briga te, briga me, and so on. Like I don't care, or you don't care, you shouldn't care. What do you care? It's not your problem. Evo ga, our next phrase. And yes, our next phrase is evo ga. And this literally means here it is or there it is, and Croatians use it really a lot during the day, like in million everyday moments. For example, you're looking for your keys and you finally found it, evo ga, or someone finally shows up and you're like, evo ga, finally you're here, and so on. Evo ga is very, very common, and if you start using it in your everyday conversations, you'll instantly sound more native, more in the flow with how Croatians actually talk, and it shows that you really get the Croatian rhythm. And about the Croatian rhythm, the next phrase, samo polako. Okay, samo polako literally means just slowly or take it easy. And I would say this phrase, samo polako, is kind of a motto of Croatian people. So when you are in rush, when you're trying to do 5 things at the same time, like people would usually tell you, samo polako. Or when you're saying like, okay, I'll finish it as soon as I can, I'll finish it soon, you could hear samo polako, ne brinja. So this means just take it easy, take it slowly, no need to rush. Even if there is need to rush, they would tell you samo polako. And yeah, this perfectly reflects Croatian mentality again. I feel like all of these phrases, they show this kind of joyful mentality, like taking the life easy, no stress, no pressure. That's all about Croatians. Okay, moving to the next one. It's actually all-purpose Croatian exclamation. Joj. Joj doesn't really translate to English a single way. It can mean oof, or it can mean oh no, or it can mean wow, or even geez, depending on the situation and how you say it. So yeah, basically you use it all the time, and depending on the tone, the meaning can change. For example, you can use it when you're frustrated. Joj, opet sam zaboravila ključeve. Or when something is cute or surprising. Joj, vidi ovu malu mačku. Or when reacting a little bit dramatic or with disbelief, like, joj, pa kako si to uspjela? It's really short, it's easy, and it adds personality to your speech. Honestly, if you start using joj in everyday speech, you'll instantly sound more native. And I've noticed that I started using joj when I speak Russian and when I speak English, and like it doesn't sound natural for those languages, but it sounds so natural to me by now because of how often I hear it and how often I use it myself. Now, this would be all of these short phrases and words for today, but there is one saying I want to add, which I've seen recently again. I mean, I've seen it quite a few times. I've never heard it, but I've seen it online in the comments section when people say da te nema, treba bi bilo te izmisliti. Which literally means if you didn't exist, you'd have to be invented. I found this phrase so beautiful, and I've never heard it in any other language but Croatian. Croatians use this phrase to praise someone warmly, like you're so important, you're so helpful, and you're so awesome that the world just couldn't do without you. I found it so sweet, and I was curious, like, why I've never heard this phrase before, and I googled it. It actually comes from French poetry, but as far as I found out, it's not used in daily life in French or in English, in Russian, Ukrainian, no. The first time I've seen it, it was in Croatian, and I've seen it quite a few times. Never heard it, but I've seen it. And I find it so sweet and nice. The next time I'm gonna comment on someone's beautiful Croatian video, in Croatian I'd use this phrase. So thank you so much for sticking with me until the end of the video. Now, if you're from Croatia, or if you're learning Croatian, I want to hear from you. Which phrases do you like, or which phrases do you think are important to sound more like a native in Croatian, and why? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos about languages and all of that. Thank you so much for watching again. I will see you in the next video. Ajde, vidimo se, čujemo se, bog, čao, sretno, doviđenja.